your, communication, without hearing from you, without talking to you, without engaging those particular um, ideas and thoughts within the community. There's a lot going on, and we're going to talk more about that a little later on with that too. So what we're going to do is we're going to jump on, as customarily, many of you might be new to our block chat format. We have a lot of announcements, and this is probably my commercial, that if there's anything that you're doing within the community, please let us know. We will push that out. We have information that we like to put out. We have partners as well. So as I've learned from some of my partners, because today is such a beautiful day, we're going to ask you to go into the chat group and introduce yourself. If you're part of a block club, if you're an organization, even if you're just who you are as an individual, we want you to introduce what you're representing, who you are. And then as you're doing that, I want you to put a number from 1 to 5. Dina's going to be proud of me from the um, from my good friends and from the Erie County Restorative Justice. Put a number of where you're at from 1 to 5, right? 5 being the very best. Today you woke up, life is good, and 1, you know what? I need somebody. We're gonna have some help here from 1 to 5, and then people can kind of gauge and see where you're at. And put it in the chat group. So, we appreciate you in that respect too. So thank you very much, everyone. And so, Nicole, why don't you put up our PowerPoint, and we'll talk a little bit about announcements and those particular things, and then we'll bring our guest on. I don't see him quite yet, but if we'll just go through our quick announcements. But it's good to see everybody. And if you're unfamiliar with using a web chat, we encourage people. There's a lot of signs and gestures. You want to do a thumbs up, you want to do a heart, you want to do an emoji, go ahead and do that. That gives us an indication that we should stay a little longer on a particular topic or not, but we do appreciate that too. So these are announcements from the Division of Citizen Services, not from purely from a City Hall perspective, but announcements that we have seen and found and people have shared us. And so we're going to put an email that if you have an announcement or those particular things within the community, let us know, and we will push this out. We try to push this out on our social media page, and we send out alerts all throughout the city in that respect too. So it's good to see everybody here. So we're going to move very quickly with our announcements. And our first announcement is, Nicole. So as you know, we have, from a city perspective, the weather has been a challenge, and we've have extended the date from the City of Buffalo. Mayor Brown, the Common Council Darius President, and many of the council members. One of the things that we don't want community members or residents to worry about, because of the blizzard and some of the other things, we've extended the property tax and agreements period deadline to January 13th. So we wanted to let people know that. And so that's very important for those who own their homes or that. And so they're not, scrambling one way or another. And we'll talk a little more about other things too. Next slide. So recycling, our schedules are back, and it's just a reminder. Obviously, we went through a very challenging time within the past 2 weeks, and so we're back on schedule. I would say this: we wanted to put this on here is that obviously many people have been patient. We're still getting back, and there is still some recovery in terms of our cleanup efforts. And so, if there's some challenges that you may have, we ask people to call 311. I know yesterday, if your garbage day was yesterday, there was an area that part of the neighborhood that we did miss, but we asked people to leave that out. But if we have missed, or we did not, I shouldn't say missed, but we did not get to your street, we've asked people to call 311. But our recycling, and I told them, we just thank you for people being patient, because the last couple of weeks we had a priority in terms of making sure that with our snow and the challenges that we have with the event. So wanted to talk a little bit about that. Nicole? National Grid claims. And so this is a very important thing. There's a lot of notices that have been going out. Claims must be filed by the 10th. And so from National Grid, if you have lost power or there was a challenge that you had during the recent snow event that we had with the blizzard, we're asking people there's a number that you call on 315-428-3370, or you can, and we'll put the link into the chat. You can go into the link and make sure that you put a claim in with National Grid. And then there were many people who were impacted by this particular storm. Very important. Talking with many different organizations, and I'm going to do a couple of shout outs a little later on to a lot of organizations in terms of just preparedness. And so we'll push this information out. We just want to make sure, obviously, that particular homes and neighborhoods and individuals are prepared regarding a snow. If one thing this blizzard or any other type of snow event taught us, it's about being prepared. And so we have little tips, little best practices that we've learned from other cities and also from you in this community, making sure that you make sure your home, your car, winter survival checklist. And I've been working very proudly with a lot of organizations. You're going to be hearing a lot of different things through challenges. We get a little bit better and we learn from those particular things. And so there's a lot of organizations that are working towards this. And so Division of Citizen Services have been partnering with those organizations. This is just kind of a self checklist. And so we'll be pushing this information out in the community as well. So next slide. Again, staying warm when the power is off. Unfortunately, there were quite a few people within the city of Buffalo that was affected when we did not have power. I was one of those. It was not only uncomfortable but challenging, and many individuals or families had to shelter in place because of the enormity of the storm. And so we want to make sure these are little tidbits that many of us know, but many don't. And so we want to endeavor to make sure that we get this information out to everyone in the community. And again, we're going to be working with many different organizations to put this information out to make sure that if there is a situation that you have to shelter in place, because that is the only viable option that you have, we want to make sure that we do this in a correct manner. And next slide, Nicole. And we're going to push this information out to all of those people who are here. Again, many of you, if you get stuck in a car, making sure that this is information you have too. So the other thing, and moving forward and within the Division of Citizen Services, we are ramping up our Citizen Participation Academy. We're also going to do a class geared towards young adults as well. This has been very popular in the past in terms of just knowing more information about our place. And so we're revamping that back up. We're still actively recruiting for AmeriCorps Vistas. So a big shout out to not just our program, but to all of the AmeriCorps Vista programs within Western New York. I Love Your Block grants are going to be tooled up and geared to community-based organizations that will do engagement within their community. Our clean sweeps are going to be revamping. I'm very excited about that because, again, been working with a group, and I'll talk a little bit about them a little later on, in terms of learning from some experiences and then how we engage in communities in place. And then probably very soon, within the next few months, we're going to be revamping and looking at our 311. We put a request for proposals. We've heard from community members in terms of ways that we can upgrade and retool, and we're in that process right now. I want to thank everyone for utilizing that. That is a non-emergency number for city services. There are there's also 211, which is important, that we'll talk a little bit later on about that as well. And if you have an emerging need or there's an emergency that you see right there's 911. And big shout out to our partners over at 211 and the work that they've been doing as well. And so if you are interested in any of those, please call our office, and we like to make sure that we make that connection. Want to do this. Many of you have seen this is not just a local story, but a national story, but it's our story. Ever since watching the game to now, nothing but a miracle. Want to give a big shout out and prayers not only to the Buffalo Bills, Cincinnati Bengals, NFL, and all of those people who are associated with Damar Hamlin. He is Buffalo Bills, and many of you have seen this, went into cardiac arrest. And big shout out to the staff of the Buffalo Bills who jumped into saving him. And if you've been watching TV or you've been on social media, he is still not out of it, but he's been talking with family. I hear he's alert to know if he wanted to find out if the Buffalo Bills won the game. So that is nothing but a miracle. I want to say thank you to those who have prayed, and miracles, not only miracles, but God is good, and so that's a very important thing. Also wanted to do this too. There was a particular family, the Liggins family. There was a fire on Dartmouth. The mayor had an opportunity to talk with the husband and other family members in that respect. And we want to give our condolences and prayers. I know, big shout out to the block club in that area and the church who've been spearheading information to make sure that we give, because that family has lost everything. And so Leona Harper, who's the president over at the block club there, has really been doing a yeoman's work. And so we'll put more information if anybody wants to give and help out the Liggins family in that respect too. 5 young people lost their lives, and the grandmother is still in the hospital. So let's our prayers for that in that respect too. So listen, we have we're going to go back into our announcements a little later on. I do want to give some shout outs to organizations that have been doing some very great things in the community, Mayor. We know that we've been engaging people. Big shout out to a Facebook group called the Buffalo Blizzard 2022. They've been providing information on a social media format where people making a connection. Mayor, I've been working with a group, an anchor group, with my good friend Jessica Bauer. There's many different organizations that have been a part of that. We've been talking about moving in the future and what we can do to be more resilient. 211 and many different organizations, Buffalo Blizzard Mutual Aid, and a whole host of other organizations that are doing quite a few things. The challenge, Mayor, when you mention one organization, there's many of them that are doing great things. And within the city of Buffalo, I would be remiss if I did not lift up our 311 operators who've been on the phone and taking calls all throughout the Buffalo Blizzard, but also through the year. And so I wanted to shout them out, and all of the police, fire, and all of the organizations, both from a city, from a county, from a state level. I'll let you talk more about that, Mayor. I have the opportunity to introduce Mayor of the City of Buffalo, somebody that who cares about the city, who works. If there was more hours in a day, there's 24, but he puts in that overtime, and he wanted to grace us with our first block chat of the year. Mayor Brown, thank you for coming on. The floor is yours, and thank you for being able to kind of share some thoughts about where we're going at in the future, but just kind of recapping our year and talking about some self-improvements and things moving forward. Mayor Brown.
Thank you very much. Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you, Director Mestry, our city's Chief Service Officer, for inviting me to be on the block chat today. It is always great to be with our block club members, our community members, members of organizations in the city of Buffalo. To all of you, I appreciate your support for our city and your hard work this past year. I know, as Chief Service Officer Mestry said, it has not always been easy. I want to say a special word of thanks to everyone who works for the Division of Citizen Services, all of our call takers who have done an exceptional job in some very, very challenging times. As you know, our 311 Call and Resolution Center was the first 311 centers to be able to go remote, where call takers could take calls at home. We've gotten national and international attention for that innovation. I want to just recognize Oswaldo Mestre and Bob Krutinger for their great work in making that happen. And I also want to thank our 311 call takers for the tremendous job that they have been doing under high pressure situations during COVID, during 514, during storms, not only doing it in the office at times, but also doing it from your home. Let's give them a round of applause because they are the best of the best. So I don't have to tell any of you that 2022 was a rough year for just about everyone in Buffalo and Western New York, and the challenges continue. In a short time, we experienced a horrific act of domestic terrorism that was motivated by racial hatred. It claimed the lives of 10 precious members of our community, and 3 others were wounded. Historic snowfall in November and a once-in-a-generation blizzard in December where many lives were lost. A fire on Dartmouth Street, as was mentioned, where 5 beautiful children passed away, and the injury to Bills player Damar Hamlin. As a boost to the community, and Oswaldo mentioned it, a miracle, Damar Hamlin is improving. He's showing remarkable improvement. He has been able to talk to his family and medical care team. He was able to speak to his teammates on the Buffalo Bills, and that is a blessing for all of us. And hopefully that is the start of many, many more blessings to come for our community and for each and every one of us and our families individually. Now, quick storm update. The blizzard of 2022 was one of the strongest winter storms to ever hit a densely populated community like the city of Buffalo. Our prayers and thoughts remain with those families who lost loved ones. I know that that is a very painful situation. I can tell you in all of Erie County and in all of Western New York, the severity of the weather was absolutely the worst in the city of Buffalo. So trying to compare Buffalo to Amherst or even Hamburg or any other place in the suburbs is like comparing an Apple to a Volkswagen. There is absolutely zero comparison. And the city's response to the storm, we had a plan, we had a strategic plan. Our response to a once-in-a-generation blizzard was focused on life safety initially, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and Monday. And then Tuesday and Wednesday, our focus was opening up streets. And by 12:01 a.m. on Thursday, we had lifted the driving ban. People were driving around in Buffalo on Thursday like nothing ever happened. And Friday, it was almost like the Christmas season again. There were so many cars on the road. So in less than 5 days, a pass through every street in the city of Buffalo. And from the time we started plowing in our residential neighborhoods on Wednesday morning, it took us 2 days to get a pass down every street. So we live in a fast-paced time. There were many challenges, whiteout conditions, um, minus 22 degrees below zero with the wind chill at times, wind speeds, gusts of 79 miles per hour at times, and over 20,000 people without power in their homes. Like Oswaldo Mestri, I was one of those people for a period of time without power, worked through that whole period of time as Oswaldo worked through the whole period of time that he was out without power. And with me right now, as I'm doing this block chat, is Chad Houston, who actually joined me at my house, and we had to charge up our cell phones in the truck to make sure that we could continue to communicate with people around the clock. That's how dire the circumstances were. Now, looking at the weather conditions, because California's being hit with a bomb cyclone, and unfortunately right now in the state of California, there are over 200,000 people without power. So we are going to see increasingly more extreme weather, not just in Buffalo and Western New York, but all across the country. Now, we need to learn from this storm, and the city of Buffalo, my administration, is committed to learning. I have reached out to the New York University Robert Wagner School of Public Service to analyze this winter storm and do a study for us. They will do an after action report on the storm and how the city responded, how the county responded, how the state responded, and how we all work together. So going forward, we can make any improvements that we need to make. Now, why did I reach out to the Wagner School at New York University? I reached out to them because I wanted an impartial analysis. I didn't want anybody to say, well, Brown is trying to control the analysis. That's why I didn't go to UB. That's why I didn't go to Buff State. I wanted to go to one of the most respected public affairs schools in the nation outside of the city of Buffalo. And the dean of the school, Dean Sherry Glide, agreed to do this study for us as a public service. So they are going to do it. They are going to send people here from NYU, and they're going to do it at no cost to the residents and taxpayers of our community. I also want to mention that one of the things that I recommended out of this storm is that the city hire a fleet director, a professional who would manage the police, fire, and public works fleets of vehicles. We have a lot of vehicles in the city. We need to make sure that there are maintenance schedules for repairing the vehicles. We need to make sure that there are replacement schedules for purchasing new vehicles. All of our needs as it relates to vehicles would be managed by somebody who has specialized training in managing the fleets of vehicles, someone who perhaps has managed hundreds of vehicles so that we would have the best vehicles, best maintained vehicles, no matter what circumstances, what the weather is, what the situation is in the city of Buffalo. Now, Oswaldo has given you a few reminders. I want to give you a few other reminders. The Home Energy Assistance Program's emergency benefit component opened on Tuesday, January 3rd. So if you need some relief in heating your home, if you need some repairs, please call 211 for information, and you can apply for home energy heating assistance That program is open now, and there are funds now that you can potentially take advantage of. Also, if you have any housing repair concerns, there are a variety of housing repair programs that have funds that you can tap into. You can call 716-851-4964. So again, that number is 716-851-4964. As you know, last summer, we were not able to open all of the pools in the city of Buffalo because we were not able to recruit enough lifeguards. We started in 2022 recruiting lifeguards. I want everybody to make note of this. We started in 2022. We now have lifeguard training sessions underway at Cazenovia Pool. If you know a young person who might want to be a lifeguard or learn CPR, please let them know. The information is on our website and they can be trained for that good paying, life-saving job starting right now in January, and they can start working when pools open this coming summer. Final thing, partnering with Council President Pridgen and the members of the City Council, and Oswaldo mentioned this earlier in the call, we have extended the payment for the second installment of city taxes until Friday, January 13th. The initial date was January 3rd. We know that the storm has affected some people's finances. The storm might have thrown some people off track. You need a little bit more time to get your paperwork in order. The new deadline to pay your taxes is January 13th, and hopefully that will be helpful to people in our community that need more time. With that, I'm going to wrap up. I'm just going to thank everyone for being on the call. I'm going to thank all of our block clubs, all of our community-based organizations, everyone that works in the Division of Citizen Services and other city departments on the line for working together, for lifting each other up, for showing why we are known as the city of good neighbors nationally and internationally. And because of each and every one of you, we are Buffalo strong. Thank you all very much.
Mayor, thank you very much. And I know you have another appointment. There was a community group, some block clubs. I know you said talking about the Wagner School of Government and the thoroughness that they're going to be. Will there be a point in time where they will be engaging residents or community groups and organizations?
They absolutely will. They are going to engage some of our resident leaders to get their input. They're going to engage some of our community-based organizations to get their input. And they're going to engage some of those people who have already been recognized, and there are many, many more who did heroic things, who saved lives during the blizzard of 2022. They're going to engage those individuals as well, so we can do a top to bottom analysis of our storm response and try to come up with the best ideas and the best thinking from our community, from our first responders, and looking at what is done across the nation as well.
Mayor, also, I know there are some groups and organizations that we've been meeting with this federal declaration in terms of working with our federal partners. Any news on that? I know the governor, you've been working very closely with the governor to do a statewide, but then there's a federal declaration in terms of that. Any updates on moving with that?
So Governor Hochul very early on requested an emergency disaster declaration from the president. President Biden immediately signed that emergency declaration. What that entitles our community to is a 75% reimbursement of the costs from the emergency. Just recently, United States Senator Chuck Schumer and United States Senator Kirsten Gillibrand came to Buffalo and said that they are going to be pushing and working with the Biden administration to get Buffalo, Erie County, and Western New York declared a natural disaster. In a natural disaster, that would entitle us to 100% reimbursement of costs. Hopefully that will go through and that will happen because we need it. What we had to expend as a community from 5/14, from the November storm, from the December blizzard, has really sapped a lot of funds out of the city of Buffalo. So we need 100% reimbursement. That's something that I have been calling for. And Senator Schumer and Senator Gillibrand also said that they would be asking for additional federal money for the city of Buffalo. Again, something that I have been calling for, that we need more resources from our federal government to come into this city. And I'm glad that our U.S. senators are joining me in issuing that call for more resources.
Mayor, you've been working very closely with elected officials, obviously the Common Council members, and during the storm, your office, and you've availed different city departments heads to be in communication with Common Council members. Talk a little bit about that and the relationship you've had with city departments and Common Council, just in terms of the coordinated response and making sure that everybody is, that we're hearing people on the ground levels, but we're also moving forward as well.
So during an emergency situation like this, I'm speaking all day, every day with our Commissioner of Police, our Commissioner of Fire, our Deputy Mayor and Chief of Staff, Crystal Rodriguez Dabney, our Commissioner of the Department of Public Works, some of the Deputy Commissioners, Mike Marcy, our Director of Intergovernmental Relations, Mike DeGeorge, our Director of Communications, yourself, and Bob Krutinger from the Division of Citizen Services. There is communication between all of us in city government and others, even some I did not mention, all day, every day, planning and listening and responding to what we have to do in an emergency situation like the winter storm in November and the blizzard in December. We start out the process with a plan, with an emergency plan, with a snow plan, but that planning has to be flexible because a lot of things come up. You know, having over 20,000 people without power and having to work closely with National Grid, that was something that we had to adjust to. Having zero visibility, where at times snowplows, the National Guard, fire trucks, police cars could not safely drive, that was something that we had to adjust to. So we make those adjustments during the course of an emergency. We also had representatives from the Department of Public Works, the police department, the fire department, every day, all day at the Erie County Emergency Operation Center. So we were in constant communication there. And then also, we were in constant communication with Governor Hochul, with the county executive, with the commissioner of the Department of Transportation for the state of New York, and the commissioner of the Department of Homeland Security and Emergency Services for the state of New York. So the level of communication was constant. It was all day. It was every day, as well as checking the 311 calls for service. We got a tremendous amount of information on people that needed welfare checks, people that needed medication, people that needed to get to dialysis, people that needed to get to chemotherapy. So all of those things work together during an emergency situation. And as they say, this was not our first rodeo in the city of Buffalo. We've been through a number of emergency situations. We have a plan for emergency situations, but we also have to be respectful and understand acts of nature. And this was an act of nature. And sometimes the fury of nature is beyond what man can control.
Well, thank you, Mayor. Listen, I know you have to go. People keep on texting me questions to hit you up. I know National Grid was a partner, but would also played a role in this too. I know we've worked with them, but I know you had some tough questions.
How we worked with National Grid, they said that the impact of the storm in Buffalo on their equipment was the worst anywhere. The storm conditions were most extreme in Buffalo. It literally froze some of their substations. Trees came down, over 300 trees and tree limbs came down in the city of Buffalo, taking down power lines with them. There were trees that came down in backyards that knocked out power. And what National Grid needed was to be able to get to their substations, was to be able to get to residential communities. And we had plows that teamed with National Grid, plowing to get them to their substations, plowing to get them to residential communities where power lines were down or where trees were in power lines and in backyards. It was a very complicated operation. And because their substations were frozen, they had to heat them up before they could do any repairs for worker safety. Had they tried to repair substations without heating them up, people would have been electrocuted trying to restore power. So in some cases, we know there were people without power for 4 days, maybe longer in some instances, very uncomfortable. I was without power for 24 hours, and it was extremely uncomfortable. And so we were working feverishly. We were pushing National Grid, and we assigned plows to them to be able to get them to where they needed to go, because we knew that restoring power was a life safety issue, and it had to be done.
Well, Mayor, I think you heard me after day 3. I think you and I were communicating enough that you heard it in my voice. This, although we're still helping people about not having power. Mayor, as I let you go, as in everything, whenever there's challenges, and the one thing I learned from you, there's always lessons to be learned, both personally and professionally. We're constantly as public officials always learning these lessons. What are some of the things that yourself in terms of a lesson learned or lessons learned moving towards the future, and what we moving from here?
Leaders have to listen. They have to stay calm under pressure. Like what you experienced being without power for 3 days, you had to keep working. It was frustrating. It was uncomfortable. It was cold. But we knew that people were depending on us not stopping, on us continuing to work, no matter what the personal challenges might have been, and to stay calm and cool-headed and to continue to communicate and collaborate with our community and other people that were working in those emergency situations. So it just reinforced that for me, that you have to keep your head about you. You can't break down. You can't You can't lash out at people. You have to stay calm, you have to stay cool, and you have to continue to deliver service to your community and people that are in need.
Well, thank you, Mayor. Listen, I'm sorry I kept you as long as I did. Now you got a couple of other different things. We're going to continue with the block chat. Debbie Lovato, as always, comes and kind of brings up the rear. Mayor, thank you very much for your leadership.
Thank you,
Thank you
Debbie.
to everyone here. Thank you. Now we're going to continue with our block chat. I tried to get to a lot of different questions that people were emailing and texting me and all of those, and we're going to maybe open it up here. I'm going to bring Debbie along, but if you have a particular quick question that you want to put it into the chat group, so that we can all learn from it. I talked about a couple of different organizations, some resilient organizations that did some yeoman's work. I'm going to lift up 211. I'm going to lift up the Anchor Group. I'm going to lift up again Buffalo Blizzard 2022. Although the city had mechanisms, one of the things that I learned as a public official is that there's what we have in terms of some general things, but listen, the community speaks, and you have to be able to lean in and see what's going on in there. And sometimes the genesis of a lot of great communication or whatever is not always in a building, it's in the community. And so again, just lifting up all of these different organizations. There were folks who went beyond that we've heard great stories about. People who went and helped feed people at their own risk, and so again, what we want to do and some of the lessons learned here is that how can we do that in a smarter, better way? How can we better be more, not when we use resilient, how can we be better prepared? Not just individually in your home, but collectively as a community. And so you're going to be hearing a lot of that. We endeavor to make sure that all of these groups are communicating and working and talking with each other. And so if you want to be a part of that, let us know in the chat. Let us know so that we can be inclusive of you with all of the groups, so that we can learn from that. I'm hearing people are wanting to put together different packages with batteries and flashlights and give those out. And we're going to, matter of fact, I don't want to steal what a Block Club's thunder, and we've been talking with them as well too. But it's just very, very important that we are doing that too. Lastly, I just want to do is, folks, our mental health. One of the things that I learned from my all of you, but my good friend Jessica Bauer, is that the folks who take care of other people, you have to make sure you take care of yourself as well. There are challenges, and so there are numbers that are out here, crisis services. There's a national number 988, in terms of mental health, and there, and even just checking in with family members and each other. Sometimes we think we're resilient enough to go out there and shovel snow, and we don't check back in, or just these other different things and how we help folks. Make sure that we check in, and your mental health is just very, very important to that too. So we are going to continue with our block chats. We were doing them every week. We are now going to probably move to an every other week. If there's any information or organization or commissioner, we're going to make sure that we get different commissioners coming in here. We've had police commissioner, we had fire, the public works. I think at our next block chat, we're going to probably, I know we're going to invite the commissioner for public works and his team to come up here. And it's very important. I see my colleague Nicole talked about triggers and trauma and how that affects individuals. And so sometimes we have to make sure that we check in and we take care of ourselves within that respect too. So listen, again, I just want to say thank you to each and every one of you guys. Debbie, and if you have a quick, the National Suicide Prevention is 988, but mental health, we're going to put for crisis services and any other the numbers here, here locally in Buffalo. We want to make sure that we lift them up, and those organizations that are out there, very, very important. Again, making sure that we just check in and with each other. Erie County Restorative Justice organizations and all of those other organizations that are out there too. So again, we're all part of the solution. Some are just courageously doing it on their own, but we want to make sure that we create this community, this practice community, that we learn from each other and we're able to share in terms of this city of good neighbors, whether it is mutual aid or whether it is just communicating with each other and networking. That's a very, very important thing. You heard from the mayor. Our next block chat, again, we're going to get either the Commissioner of Public Works or our police commissioner to talk about moving forward on other different things too. So Debbie, how you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. I want to say thank you very much in the work that your organization is doing, but not just lifting the Board of Block Clubs, but lifting all of the different organizations that have been doing engaging and outreaching organizations. If you're doing that and you're doing something that we need to know, put that into the chat or call us and let us know how you can be a part of this bigger group that we're forming to work together. So that I know this weekend we're expecting some snow, right? And even letting people know, not everybody is on TV, not everybody's on social media, people don't know, getting that word out, and that's an important too. So what's happening at the Board of Block Clubs?
Hey, well, welcome back, everybody. It's 2023, and it's so good to see everybody on the block chat. Thank you, Oz, and your team for starting this back up. I look forward to it every time we're on. Board of Block Clubs is going to be starting back up. Our next meeting is January 26th. It's on a Thursday. We're just waiting for confirmation on where it will be held. So as soon as that information is available, the flyer will be done. It'll be on all our social media pages, and we'll get that out to the Block Club presidents as well. Again, I have to thank my team. They have done a great job during the storm with talking to block clubs that have reached out to us and really staying in communication with me. So kudos to my team, my board. They've really gone above and beyond. And basically, along with Oz, I'm working with a couple of organizations to see what we can do to get kits done up, and working with Jessica as well to see what we can do and what our next move is. Also working on possibly having a meeting with Gina Davis is trying to get something together with Just Breathe, and working with Dana Estrada and a few other groups of having maybe just one big meeting where we can talk about disaster preparedness and what we can do to help one another if this should happen ever again. Other than that, we have a really good year coming up. I don't want to spoil anything right now until everything is totally 100% ready to go. But the Board of Block Clubs worked very hard last year to do as many different talks and trainings. And yes, this year we are going to have even more. So we listened to our Block Club leaders, and they were asking for more trainings. And so that's what we're going to be doing. We're going to be focusing on that, especially the crime prevention piece. So really, that's it. It's just great to be able to be on this block chat and share with everybody, and seeing all the new names on here. I don't see a lot of faces. Looks like everybody's kind of off camera for a little bit, which I don't, I usually do the same thing, but if there's anything that you guys are looking for or you have to offer us, please, Dr. Cortasia Solomon Carter put all of the Board of Block Club information in the chat. Email us, call us. Most people on this call probably have my direct phone line as well. And let's talk, let's see what we can do. And great job by everybody that did all that they could, watching the Blizzard Facebook page and seeing all the wonderful things that were happening. What a great source of resource they were. They were just on top of it. So kudos to them and the people that ran that Facebook page. I'll tell you, I watched it every day, all day long, to see what was going on and how we could help and, provide services to everybody. So, congratulations to that. That was really helpful in a lot of ways. Other than that, I'm looking forward to 2023 and all that we can do together and work together as a city. I saw somebody posted on the chat that prayers work. They absolutely do. Prayers uplift everybody in some sort of way. And so continue with those prayers, and let's do what we can do and show people that City of Buffalo is definitely the best place to live. grow, be, work, and we are the city of good neighbors, and I'll stick to that 100%. So
Well,
that's
thank
it
you
for me,
again.
unless you have something else.
No, listen, thank you again. I want to, there's a couple of, Dana Estrada, who is with Border Community Services from Niagara University, been working very closely with city agencies and the border block clubs and Buffalo Police. We're going to be highlighting a lot of what they're doing. Border Community Service does a lot of things on disaster preparation and so we are making sure that we're going to be working closely again to grant out of the Niagara University in terms of disaster preparation. But there's a lot of organizations out there that we're going to learn from too. So I just wanted to make sure that we lift her up and what the work we're doing. Listen, if there's something existing that is happening right now, I have a big snow mound on the corner of I have a corner house and I've been chipping away at it, but that's just me. You shouldn't. Call 311. Let us know. We do know that we've been taking now calls because we've had so many outside contractors come in. Some things have been scratched up a little bit. Let us know. Call us and let us know if there's still concerns that you have on city-related issues. And in that respect, we have a great partnership that we have with 2-1 and other numbers as well, and make sure that we know what's going on in terms of that too. Let me tell you a little bit about with 3-1. If you call and we do check the messages and we do call back to get some more specific information and we input that in. So we want to make sure that we quantify, all of the different calls that are out there. And one of the things I've been working with a lot of other organizations too. I know internally the mayor we do that too. We have a chief diversity officer. The issue of equity that's very, very important. How we distribute services and how you are letting us know what's going on in that community too, which is a very, very important piece too. So, a big news here. Dr. Cortesius talked about announcing the Save-A-Lot on Genesee is now reopening or has reopened. We've been working very closely with the management of them. Obviously, we don't want to hear this, but organizations and stores were challenged throughout the storm, and so the city has been working with those with those businesses to make sure that. So that's some good news. We want to make sure that all of that good news is posted and that we can share that information out with everybody here. Listen, it's almost 1 minute to 1 o'clock. I want to thank everyone. If there's any other questions, any speakers, any folks that you feel like you want to have, let us know. And my staff, I want to give them a big shout out, not just to the 311 operators, but my internal staff working around the clock and those who are just always checking on each other. Let's make sure that we are always prepared, but we're known as a city, as a resilient city. That resiliency starts with you as individuals, and then we move forward and see how, from a public perspective, that we can assist you to make sure that we are much better prepared. So thank you very much. What I'm going to do is, as we leave, we got your information. We're going to record that. If you can put a number of where you're at from 1 to 5, we all know some people started. I thought I saw a 2, and maybe, but I'm at a 4 right now, trending to 5. As you leave, you can wave, let us see your face. Thank you very much again for being part of that. And listen, Ellen's a 4.5, so listen, I'm optimistic about who and each one of you guys. Yes, go Bills, right? But I'm very, very optimistic. It is 1 o'clock. I know there's some hand raised and people want to talk. We're going to close our chat, but if you want to shout and say something, go ahead and do that. There might be a lot of chatter here, but let us know what is it that you want to say. Thank you very much again. We'll see you at our next block chat. Thank you, guys. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Bye, everybody.
Happy New Year,
Great
everybody.
weekend.
Have a great weekend.
Everyone have a great weekend.
Have a great, safe, blessed weekend.
Go Bills.
Go
Bills.
Bills.
Go Bills.
Nathan, I see your hand up. I'm sorry. or somebody
Stay
has,
safe.
if you're waving or if you're just, Matt, and prayers out to everyone.
Yeah, hey, if you can hear me, I had a question or two for the mayor, so I didn't take my hand down.
Yes, sir. Okay, great, guys. Take care. Thank you.
Thank you.